Peru. So these are the coins that the United States has made for Peru. With only a couple of omissions. But let us start from the beginning. At the start, the first coin actually made in the United States for Peru wasn't actually made by the mint, by the U.S. Mint, but by the Waterbury Mint in 1895, and it was a 2 centavos, 2 cents. Okay. It wasn't until 1916, however, that the U.S. started making not coins, just blank planchets. In 1916, we provided a roughly silver dollar-sized blank planchet from the Philadelphia Mint, which then Peru had struck somewhere else into a 1 sol coin. In 1917, we made some gold planchets. There's a 1/5 of a libra, which I don't have, and a whole libra, which I do. Now, we didn't make the full coin. We just made a blank planchet this size. And then there's another one with the exact same imagery, only it's smaller, and instead of una libra, it would just have 1/5 libra there at the bottom. And, of course, the coin would be smaller. But in both cases, you're dealing with a Philadelphia Mint blank, which is to say the Philadelphia Mint provided just a blank planchet, and Columbia had that planchet struck into a coin somewhere else. Finally, in 1918, the U.S. Mint begins striking actual coins for Peru. So in 1918, we have this 5 centavo. See how well we can. Okay. And we have this 10 centavo. I notice the streaking there. I looked at it before. It seems like a lot of the copper nickel planchets provided from the U.S. Mint at that time, especially for foreign use, where there's blank planchets were even used in these coins, seem to have this kind of streaking quality to them. There's the 1918 20 centavos. Now in 1919, we really ramped it up with this 1 centavo. Okay, as well as a 2 centavos. And the usual suspects here. $5 centavos. $10 centavos. And 20 centavos. Finally, in 1920, we made some more 10 and 20s. 1920. Yeah, sometimes some other countries are involved and they'll have something similar, but never quite worded the same. One really has to study closely what the exact spelling and word of the words are, because there's some non-American versions of these coins. Wait a minute, 1919. We made some more gold planchets. Now this is kind of unusual here. It's the same as the 1917, except as you can see, this one's dated 1919, which means that it actually has a good chance of maybe being a planchet that came from the Denver Mint. Some of these came from Philadelphia, but most of them, about 5 out of 6 overall, came from Denver. This is the only time the Denver Mint involved itself in the production of any gold foreign coins. And even then, it just provided most of the planchets for this coin here. Everything else is gold and involved with U.S. made coins and planchets for that matter, or even gold weights like those of Saudi Arabia. Everything that's gold came through the Philadelphia Mint. The Denver Mint planchets for this are the only exception to that. So, well, we've seen the 1920. Let's move on. 1921, pretty much the same story. There's a 10-cent. And there's a 20-cent. Okay. Then we wait a couple of years. And activity gets a little bit different because here in 1923, there's a 5-cent. And then we started making the un sol. This time it's now actually struck here as a coin and not merely a planchet as happened in 1916. So there it is. It's a little hard to see that that is 1923, but if you look at the bar up at the top, it is a 1923. 5 decimos fino. Interesting. So this continues in 1924. Now, boy, somebody really washed the pee out of this one, but this is a very badly clean coin. But underneath whatever happened to it is 1924 Peruvian sol struck with the U.S. for Peru. And same for 1925. Just a sol, un sol. Okay, yeah, there it says at the bottom. Yeah. Publica Pirano, we move. So, 1925. Now, before we take this any further, let's take a look at, not all of these unsold coins here of this range were struck at the U.S. Now, here's another one. Same date, same year. Same basic design. See, they're both 1925. But if you notice, on this non-American one, the lettering is a little bit bigger than it is on the American one. Furthermore, for some reason, though it is bigger, it does not go quite as far down. You can see that little bunch of leaves there, and the O's under the leaves. The N really isn't. On the American one, you can see the entire N as well as the O is under the leaves of that little same bunch of leaves. And the I has a very different relationship to where it is with those two little buds or whatever they are. So it just goes to show that even though you have this denomination from this year for Peru, you have to look real carefully. Again, it's the same thing. You can see the letters are smaller, and that now here it's wider as well. It extends to the end of that little ribbon that says Liber in the non-American. But in the American one, it doesn't reach down as far as that ribbon that says Liber. So again, it's the same thing. So, an interesting little distinction there. Now, I can put that in here. Now for 1926, we're back to making lots of denominations. We've got our 5 cent. We've got our 10 cent. We got our 20 cent. 1926. And then we have our un sol. 1926. At least that's a fairly decent specimen. Then there's a bit of a pause until the World War II era. Now, for World War II, everybody was going to brass. That includes Peru. So here is, and here's our 5 cent from the Philadelphia Mint, and 1942. Again, if it doesn't spell it exactly the same way, or just has the years written out as 1942, we're talking 5, 10, and 20 centavos only, then it's not made in the U.S. So more than the U.S. helped out. Now we can skip over down here. There's the same coin. Now here you get the distinctive S for the S Mint. You can see under the TA of centavos. So there it is, the S Mint. Okay, then, all right, there's the 10 cents. There's the 20 cents. Again, with that distinctive S for the San Francisco Mint. And also the 20 cents. So, wait, hold on. 20 cents from Philadelphia. 42, 20 centavos. And this one's a little dark and hard to see, but let's see if we can pull it out here. Here we go. 942, okay. There we go, 20 centavos. Boy, that's shabby, but there's the S. It shows clearly. Now, finally, for 1942, we introduced a new denomination we have not made for Peru before, and that was the half sol. Okay, now for these half sols and sols, it's okay to say 1942, because that's how they always are, and nobody else made these. Oh, there's the San Francisco one. Oh, I got reversed. And yeah, going back a little bit, here's the other one. See, there's nothing, no S there, so this is the Philadelphia one. One half, Sol de Oro. Okay. Okay. Well, that's 1942. 43. We're continuing the same policy. There's the half, there's the 5 centavos. Okay. 1943. If it's not spelled like that, it's not made in the US of A. 5 centavos, obviously from Philadelphia. Here's the same thing. And you can see it's made at San Francisco. Now this one's going to be really hard to pull. It's so black you can barely see it. But this is a 1943 10 cent. You can see the 10. Centavos. You can see the sprig a little bit. You can see a little bit of the face. Oh well. Boy. That's been hard to find. Notice that these brass ones here are very, very difficult to find at all, let alone in any reasonable grade in many cases. Some of them are easy, some of them are very difficult. Yeah, there you can see the S of the San Francisco. Yucky as that is, at least more readable than the Philadelphia. Okay, so that is the 20 cent from Philadelphia. And the 20 cent. Of San Francisco. Finally, oh, there's the half sol, 1943, and half sol de oro, and this one's Philadelphia. This one, 1943, has a discernible S there. Look at that. Now we're back to finally making the un sol de oro, 1943. Wow. Finally, 1944. Alright. Usually if they're shiny, that usually means they're not that hard to find. Now suddenly everything's at the Philadelphia Mint, so there's no more San Francisco S-Marts, S-Mint marks. So now we're going to see 1944 5 cent and the 10 cent, 1944. 10 centavos. And you can see, I'm still looking to find even one 20-cent piece made in USA from 1944. I haven't seen any, no matter how miserable. Okay, now 1944. All right, there's the one half sol de oro, and we also made 1944 un sol de oro. 45, however, all we made for Peru was just the 1/2 sol de oro. And I apologize for the mess on the plastic that this coin is wrapped in. Okay, it would not be until after the era of Alton Barton, in 1975, 6, and maybe a little into 77, we would begin making these un sol for Peru again. 1975. Note it's much smaller to reflect, I assume, inflation. The sol has become a smaller unit of money. And then in 1976, we make both a 1/2 sol and a 1 sol. Un sol. And as it so happens, kind of an interesting coincidence or whatever, some of these 1976s, dated 1976, were struck in 1977. And that was the end of the U.S. Mint making any coins for Peru. Interestingly enough, for the Philippines, there was also a brass coin, a 5-centimo coin made for the Philippines, dated 1976, and mostly in 1976, but some were struck in 1977, still dated 76. Both were struck in brass, and both represent the last coins that the U.S. Mint would strike for both of those nations. And that's what we have for Peru.